welcome to this World of Warcraft patch 4.3 preview video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at one of the new 5-man dungeons, the Hour of Twilight. And this dungeon is based around you retrieving the Dragon Soul from the past, and you've now got to confront Deathwing. And you're travelling through Northrend, and I believe it's going towards Wyrmrest Temple with Thrall. You're escorting Thrall there, and you be assaulted by Twilight's people, the bastards, trying to stop you from saving all of Azeroth. Nevertheless, this is a three boss dungeon. It's pretty fast, only 20 minutes, so it's kind of pug friendly, I guess, if you want to get your Valor point cap every week. And this video is just a complete run through. There's no like cutting the trash out, because there's not that much trash, and the dungeon is pretty amazing, to be honest. So this is a pug as well, so there's a lot of failings, and it's also my first ever run, so I fail quite a bit. Now you will point that out. So as I said, you're escorting Thrall through the dungeon, and this is just the start. Obviously a few trash mobs, not much to this bit. Hate playing on these pre-made characters. So bad. I want my heroic geared character on here, please. But Blizzard don't want to sort out the stupid character transferring stuff. There isn't that much trash here. The first boss is pretty good. The bosses are kind of close together, I guess you could say. It's just the occasional trash, and we are coming up to the first boss, I believe, now, unless we're about to get ambushed by some more trash. Well, I think we're coming up to the boss. Come on, boss. I can't even remember the dungeon. I only did it like an hour ago. Oh dear. Okay, yes, we're going to the first boss. The first boss is called Arcurian, and he kind of looks like one of the second to last boss in Bastion of Twilight, the ones before Cho'Gall. I can't remember what they're called. He looks like one of them. Nevertheless, this boss is it's definitely one of the easier ones, and Thrall is assisting you, but he doesn't directly attack the boss. He will get rid of people that are also meant to be attacking you, or something along those lines. This boss has a few abilities. His first one is called Hand of Frost, and he will just reach out and chill a target and cause 50,000 frost damage. That's all there is to it. It's just a new kind of player. Okay then. He has an ability called Chains of Frost. He will trap all the enemies in the Chains of Frost and prevent you from moving. This is dispellable. And just a heads up while it's on the screen, that tomb that Thrall got caught in, you need to destroy that as soon as possible for him to keep on fighting back people. And he also gives you a bloodlust when you get to a certain percent. He has another ability. It is called Frozen Servitor, and this is the people that are surrounding the canyon that Thrall's fighting off. And there's little white circles you see on the ground as well. They're called ice boulders. Just don't stand in them, because they deal 20k damage to you, and it's just healing, I guess. And when he gets to 30% health, he will unleash torrents of frost towards people, which will deal 15,000 frost damage every second to all of his enemies, and it also reduces your movement speed by 50%. But at that point, Thrall does give you bloodlust, and you don't get a debuff for it, which is quite nice. So the first boss, pretty simple, Arcurian. Can't really moan about it. And we are now moving on to the second boss, who is an annoying pain in the arse, and I never want to do this boss ever again. Stupid boss. That is the mini-map of, not the mini-map, the map for this dungeon as well. It's kind of short. You see still the mobs that you'd find in Northrend are here. It's pretty much an exact replica, just with the bosses added in, and you also escorting Thrall to Wyrmrest Temple, which is over there in the distance, I believe. It's kind of cool. If you are kind of a lore person and you want to do the dungeons in order, I suggest you do this this boss dungeon last out of the 3, and start with Well of Eternity, I think, which is where you're going to the past, and then go on to End Time, which is where you're going to the future. And well, maybe the other way around, actually. I suppose it'd make sense if it was the other way around. Yeah, if you want to do things in the correct order, go for End Time first, then Well of Eternity, then Hour of Twilight. That kind of follows the correct path. You go into the future to see what happens if shit goes down. If Deathwing isn't stopped, then you go back into the past in order to retrieve the Dragon Soul, and then you escort Thrall with the Dragon Soul to Wyrmrest Temple, where you confront Deathwing. That makes sense. Kind of confusing myself here. So we're walking up towards the second boss here. This is kind of an easy boss, but like I said, pain in the arse if you're a spellcaster, or yeah, I just hated this boss. One of the new things you can see on the floor is an ability called ability from Thrall. It is called a Rising Fire Totem, and this will periodically increase the damage and maximum health of people that are standing in its AoE zone-like thing. So stand in the circle, you get more health, and you also get given a damage boost. I'm not sure if that applies to the enemy though, so you might want to be aware of that if your tank does decide to drag him into drag the mobs into that. Yeah, you can see it again. It might be a good idea to use some CC on these trash mobs. There are quite a few of them, and if it's a pug group, the chances are people's gear isn't going to be great. So, yeah, as you can see, I'd used Ring of Frost just a second ago, because the healer was behind a bit, and every little helps, I guess. Ripping off Tesco casually. Those of you living in countries without Tesco, I suggest you Google it. More trash. Yay. That might be the end of the track. Nope, we gotta go up a hill, face trash, and then turn around. Which makes no sense. One thing you should also be aware of is Thrall doesn't really stop. He kind of keeps on going and will run at mobs. He does have like 5.6 million health, but the mobs seem to hurt him quite a bit, so he can tank them for some time. Just make sure that, you know, Thrall isn't gonna die or anything. It's kind of just one of those it could happen things. Just make sure it doesn't. I'm not too sure what happens if he does die, but don't risk it. I think these are the last trash mobs before the boss. As you can see, there's a little thing in the top right of the corner, the one that's ticking down in seconds. That is the buff that the Rising Fire Totem places on you, and that just tells you how many stacks of it you've got, so it's just there to be aware of. And now we go for the boss. Yay! Okay, this is the second boss. She is called Asera Dawnslayer, and she is a pain in the arse, like I've already said. Wait, are we still killing God damn it. I was getting ready to go into a decent boss fight then. I should stop doing this. I should at least watch the videos back before I record the voiceover for them. That way I know what's going to happen and I don't make myself look like an idiot. Yeah, there's quite a bit of damage going out here, and that DPS did just die, so I'd be aware of the mobs getting that damage increasing buff as well. Just make sure of it beforehand. Someone could post in the description below, or the comments below, and tell me if it does affect them. So, at this point, bronze dragons are meant to be coming to save you, but wait for it, there we go. An assassin, otherwise known as Asura Dawnslayer, kills off one of the bronze dragons, and then you go straight into combat as soon as she jumps off. This boss also has a few abilities, but she's kind of a pain in the arse for spellcasters. And Thrall does get involved in this fight as well, but he also has a few. He only has 3 abilities, and there's nothing really that groundbreaking. Thrall can heal himself, and he just heals himself, obviously. That's called Healing Wave. He casts Lava Burst at the boss, and that deals 50,000 fire damage. And also he puts down the Rising Fire Totems, and that gives you the damage and health increase buff. So, as you can see here, we're kind of confused and don't know what to do and running around in circles. It turns out you need to pull the boss out of the red smoke, otherwise you can't attack her. So it kind of works like the rogue smoke bomb. And this ability is called Choking Smoke Bomb. It has an 8-yard radius, and if you're in the smoke cloud, you'll take 5,000 nature damage every second. So don't stand in it. 1, because you can't attack the boss. 2, you'll be taking unnecessary damage. So she targets spellcasters, and you can see I've got that little eye above my name on my UI to the left, and also on the frames at the side. And this is called Mark of Silence, and she marks enemy spellcasters. And when you're marked, Asura can throw one of her knives at you, which will inflict 10,000 physical damage, and it silences you for 2.5 seconds. So it's kind of annoying. And her final ability is called Blade Barrier, and this just means that any incoming damage that is below 30,000, it's just reduced to 1. So kind of like the Trash and Bastard of Twilight. And later on in the fight, she puts it up and it goes to 25,000. So it's kind of a simple boss, just your standard don't stand in shit and make sure that's it. Sorry about that. Your standard don't stand in shit and make sure that the tank is moving the boss out of shit, otherwise you can't attack her pretty much. So we're going to be moving on to the final boss again, more trash, which is a pain in the arse, but nevertheless, Blizzard do insist on putting in trash. And this is where your bronze dragons come to help you, and by help you I mean they take you somewhere and then they get killed. The poor things. Flying over to Wyrmrest Temple, which looks a lot icier than it did before, unless I've just not been to Northrend in ages and didn't realise this. And on the left we have corruption from the old gods. Yes, this is where you're going to be fighting old god related stuff, and those dragons just shut us down. But we got parachutes from out of nowhere, thankfully. Bronze dragons now come with parachutes. Bear that in mind when flying any bronze dragon. It might save your life. You should also bear in mind that after each boss you do have to talk to Thrall in order to continue onwards. So, yeah. Tentacles! Yay. Yeah, they spawn and grab someone. They're annoying. But you need to focus on the one that is channeling, because that's even more annoying. Make sure it's interrupted, because it deals a stacking shadow damage debuff onto people, and also puts a debuff on them, makes them take increased shadow damage. and they're kind of like the eyes on the Cho'Gall encounter. If you remember back to 4.0, when Cataclysm first got released in the Bastion of Twilight. They're, as far as I can remember, exactly the same model, and I think they have the same ability. I'm not too sure about it though. I can't exactly remember that fight. And there's just 3 different packs of these mobs up on the way to the third and final boss, who is Archbishop Benedictus. Okay, coming up to the third and final boss, and at first Archbishop Benedictus seems like a nice guy. He looks like he's gonna save you from the Twilight shit. He's neutral at first, you can't attack him or anything, and he lures you and Thrall inside Wyrmrest Temple to then try and kill you. Not too sure why he wants to do that. It's very bad mannered of him, as some people would say. It's a nice little bug there, running up the stairs in an awkward fashion. Okay, so pretty much as soon as he runs into the middle, he demands the Dragon Soul from Thrall, and Thrall says, no, not gonna happen. And then the combat begins for the final epic battle. Although Deathwing is the final epic battle, so I don't even know why I'm saying that. It seems as though this guy's been driven crazy by power. Nevertheless, he has quite a few abilities, and just like in the other 2 encounters, Thrall will be helping you again. This time Thrall has 3 abilities. His first one is called Cleansing Spirit, and this has a chance to dispel a stack of a magic debuff off you. It is helpful. His second ability is called Chain Lightning, and he will lash out at a purifying light. And it will jump to another nearby target, and it basically destroys them. And his third skill is called Water Shell, and this protects you from the Wave of Virtue, which is what you can see now. And this is one of the boss's abilities. And beforehand, I hadn't read the dungeon journal, so I was running around and panicking like a moron here, as you just saw. And if you get hit by the Wave of Virtue, it deals 100,000 hurdy damage to you. Don't get hit by it. Stand in the circling bubble of healiness or goodness. In phase 1, Archbishop Benedictus also has a few more abilities, one called Righteous Shear, and this will inflict holy damage to enemies that are standing within 10 yards of the person that's got Righteous Shear on them. But this can be dispelled. Thrall could dispel it from you, or your healer could. So make sure that's not on a target. He also has an ability called Purifying Light, and these are just 3 orbs. Like you can see the purple ones on the ground at the minute. Don't stand in them, and he'll knock people back with them. Phase 2 is where he turns into a Twilight person like this, and his abilities are exactly the same as Phase 1. Just it's all shadow damage and Twilight shit. And that is the end of the fight. It is very, very simple. There's like not much that can go wrong when pugging it. And that's going to do it for this video. So as always, thank you for watching. And if this video has bored you to death, because I seem to be a boring person, then feel free to subscribe for future PTR boring videos. If you want to check out the voice acting, or the voicing, sorry, for these bosses, then all those videos are now on my channel as well from the WoW files. And like I've said, thank you for watching.